Oh, hello. I didn't even notice you there. No, again, I did. That's a lie. That's not true. Because I did press record. Today, we're looking at Roman Roll, which is from PSC Games, of the Plastic Soldier Company. And it was designed by David Turtsey and Nick Shaw. And it is a ridiculously named game. I'm not going to say anything more. You just look at that and you just tell me if that looks right to you. But anyway, on with it. This is just like first impressions. This is the issue with being dans le pandemic, is that it's very difficult to get more than a couple of you around the table in order to play games. So I just want to give you some kind of first thoughts, as they would say. The first thing I'm going to say is Roman Roll. I think David and Nick went to the Roll and Write meeting where they were talking about what they were doing with the genre, because it's become incredibly popular. I mean, it is one of the few genres that I've seen successfully kind of streamed to a large audience, including kind of audience participation. Like Girls Game Shelf have done an awful lot of streams where people have printed out the forms in order to be able to kind of take part. So it's been kind of fantastic. However, I do feel that with Roman Roll, what happened is that they were late and that they managed to catch the last 5 minutes of the meeting, which was, they obviously missed a bit about naming conventions, but they certainly probably got to the part and says, okay, so just to sum it up, you write stuff down and then people, use the dice to gain resources, and that's it. And then David and Nick went away with that information and said, let's design a game. And they went away and they designed Roman Roll, and it's a beauty. It's really, really, really icony. I don't even know if that's a word. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's definitely a word when it comes to Roman Roll. And it's like saying that normal roll and writes are kind of like cheese on toast, whereas this game is like heading away from cheese on toast and slowly turning into a pizza because of all the extras that you've got. I mean, yes, you've got your dice, and they're big, and they're chunky, and they're magnificent, and they've got lots of icons on them, like wood, and jewels, and diamonds, and architects, and builders, and legions, and money, and taxing, and prestige, and that's just the heart of it. But there's then decks of cards. This, for instance, this is the deck of cards for the solo variant of the game. Yes, because if Nick and David were involved in the game, it's bound to have a solo mode. However, there's more cards for the game. There's like huge kind of player boards, and the player boards themselves, as you can see, there's icons. There's like lots of icons. This is like Roll and Write has been kind of Turtsey Shawified, to use a phrase, is that they know what a Roll and Write game was meant to be, and they've just added and added and added and added. And I reckon there's potentially a director's cut of Roman Roll which has even extra stuff on the top. And just like, say, Anachrony, or there's a lot to learn here, and there's a lot of icons here, and it is very, very daunting. I mean, the rule book is almost the same size as one of the pads that you would get in any other kind of roll and write game. It's a fairly substantial, thick tome, and fairly intimidating for probably looking at it the first time. It's the type of game that, as with a lot of David's games, you actually need to lay it out in order to kind of understand it. But once you do lay it out, and once you do start to get to grips with it, it seems to be very simple to play. You're using dice. You're using the icons on the dice. in order to carry out certain actions. Now that could be building buildings, or it can be taking over kind of areas in the outlying regions of Rome. It can be improving roads in order to improve your legacy. It can be bringing advisors on board that are going to give you additional mechanics to the game. It can, it can be raising legions. It can be conquering. It can be raising money. It can be bringing in more resources. It can be trading. It's a lot. So what does that mean? Well, it means, like a lot of games that David and Nick have been involved in, that actually, while the crust of this roll and write pizza can be looking a little bit intimidating, once you get to grips with it, it's not that difficult to play. It's very, very Euro-y, and there are several tracks that you need to make your way up with. You've got your money here, you've got your legions here, you've got your senators here, you've got how many buildings you've built, you've got how much glory you've got how much money you've made, you've got what your legacy is, and these are all tracks that you would climb up. And as once you get to kind of like certain points in the track, then you're going to get yourself a kind of like a Nero card. Once all the 4 Nero points have been given out to whoever's playing the game, then that's it. The game end condition has been met, and then that's, you finish up, and then it's based on the number of points that you've got, which kind of gets your victory. This is not the type of game that if somebody's just played King Domino Duel, another beautiful chunky dice game, that they're going to jump on this. They're going to get lost. This is for somebody who who's played games by both Nick and David before, and are actually interested in seeing what they bring to the genre. This is potentially for a good game for looking at it for somebody who is quite a Euro heavy type person and has stayed away from the roll and write genre because they felt it wasn't their bag. It gives me the impression that this is a game where people will want to play a couple of times, but will keep coming back to it afterwards, because again, once you kind of grasp the iconography, and there's all help kind of through this, and again, for the intimidating kind of nature of the rulebook, I am going to come out and say that the rulebook itself is kind of pretty well written in a kind of a narrative type way that you're playing around as you play the game. It's not got these bits where it kind of jumps back and forward. Again, the solo mode, which I've explored, is very solid. It depends. It's a fairly thick, heavy experience if you're just looking to do kind of like a solo thing. But that's not to say it doesn't work. It works like pretty well, and it turns it into a nice little kind of puzzle where you're up against, a kind of an automatic opponent. All in all, this is, as I say, I stand by it. This is kind of like people who are wanting cheese on toast, and what they get put on their plate is actually pizza. And the question is, how big is your appetite for something which is a roll and write? How big is your appetite for a roll and write that brings so much more to the table? This is a main course. This is a start off with King Domino Duel, or play a bit of cartographers, and then jump into something like this afterwards if you really, really want to sit down for a little while. Because depending on how the game rolls, it can take a reasonable amount of time for you to play it. But for those wanting to grasp something, then this is definitely kind of worth considering. I am looking forward to getting it to the table with a few people. I think it would be excellent with kind of 3 or 4 people, with the amount of space that you're going to work with, the amount of trading back and forward, the potential kind of trading, the potential kind of betrayals, it's, yeah. So that is Roman Roll from PSC Games. My name's Richard, this is We're Not Wizards. Why don't you tell me your favourite roll and write game? Because I'd be interested. Because I've not played too many in the genre, and I'm interested to see what kind of games that you like. But until the next time, stay safe, roll sixes, and then afterwards, write it down. Bye.